How you going, Fisho? Sammy here, and today we're going to be talking about all things Murray cod. Now, cod are a very widely targeted species, and for good reason too. They are great fun to fish for. Now, aside from that, you get to use all manner of cool, weird and wonderful lures and techniques to catch them, which also adds to the attraction. So we're going to go through the whole kit and caboodle today, so you guys can be set and ready to go out and target them yourselves. Now we're going to start off with rods and reels. I'll show you my kit. So my first setup here is a 7-foot long bait caster. It's a 300 size Savage Gear stealth bait caster. I use this as my heavy rod for casting big lures. I've got spooled with 30-pound braid, usually run 40 to 60-pound leader depending on the country I'm fishing. And it's a nice strong rod. It's a 10 to 20-pound rod, so a fair bit of backbone to it if I need to lay into a strong fish. Now my second outfit is a touch lighter. It's a 200 size bait caster, a Shimano Calcutta DC, and a 10 to 14-pound rod. So still plenty of strength there. Still cast those bigger lures, but I know, if something big happens, I can give it some serious stick. But it's got a bit lighter tip, this one, and I've spooled that with 25-pound braid. Now the reason I use bait casters is because I can really pinpoint the casting accuracy with them. They're great for casting between trees, rocks, boulders, all that stuff that cod love to sit and lie and wait in. So having a bait cast, I can really use that to my advantage. You can use a spin reel, there's no problems with spin reels, but I personally find the bait casters to be a lot better to fish with, a lot easier to fish with. You can also do the big old thumb lock when that big metre plus cod runs through his hole and you've got to stop him in a hurry. The reason I use such heavy gear is because you never know when that metre plus fish is going to come along. They all sit in the same water, whether it's a metre plus fish or a 50 centimetre fish. They're all going to be sitting there waiting for their next feeding opportunity, and if your lure's in the way, buska. You want to be ready to give it some stick and get him out of his hole before he dusts you up. So you got to make sure you're well and truly suited and well and truly equipped to handle those big guys if they come along. So that's our rods. So we've got 25 and 30-pound braid, and we've got 40 and 60 and 30-pound leader. So pretty sturdy gear, but it's not too heavy when it comes to cod fishing. Now we're going to work our way from surface down to subsurface, and we're going to go through some lures that we can use. Now Murray cod are a great surface feeder. They really love to buff things off the surface. They're always looking up, looking for that next feed, and surface fishing for them is a super exciting way of doing it. Now there's all manner of things you can chuck at them, from 220mm long snake imitations like that, big jointed things, to bats, little paddle bats, little paddler style jointed minnows, more paddlers. This is a pompadour, even to weedless frogs and cicadas and rats and those sorts of things. So there is a whole manner of things you can chuck surface wise. Anything big that makes a lot of disturbance and walks across the water, makes a lot of noise, will get the cod's attention. Now, depending on the size of the cod you target will depend on the size of lure that you use. Obviously, if you're going to go something big like this guy, you're going to be targeting some serious cod. But for your everyday trip down chasing cod in the river or creek, I think you'd get away with something like this. This is like 120mm. Your bats, they're a great little option as well. Nice rattle as well. All those sorts of things are going to be great cod producers. Now we use these frogs and rats here. These are weedless. Now when the weed in the creeks and the dams gets really thick, it's called duckweed I believe, you can use these guys to chuck over and actually bring it over the top of the weed. Now just because there's weed there doesn't mean there won't be cod underneath it. Those cod will be sitting there looking up, waiting for a frog or something to make the mistake of cruising across that weed. That's where these guys come in. Skip it across, give it a couple of pauses in between, and those cod will come and actually hit it through the weed. It's very exciting fishing. You can get some pretty gnarly bust-ups there where they take you back and run you into the weed or a stick that you can't see, but it's good fun, and it's really worth having these in your kit just in case that situation is there. Another really great lure is this cicada. Now this is a little cicada imitation, and I've found that on wild fish, so in your creeks where they're generally only a smaller size, I found this guy to be absolutely deadly. Now, let's go into subsurface. So we're going to go with things with bibs. Now, there is a few options you can go for. You've got your deep diving little minnows here, something like that, or you got your shallow diving little minnows. So both of these, they're around the same sort of size, that 70 to 90mm range. They've got nice rattles inside them, so they make a fair bit of commotion under the water. But depending on the depth of the area you're fishing will depend on whether you go deep or shallow. I found this shallow diver here. This is caught, as you can see, look at it, it's all banged up. It has caught heaps and heaps of cod for me. I've found it to be a really good producer in those shallow pools for those natural fish, wild fish that are sitting in natural structure in naturally forming creeks there. They're generally not that deep, so you can get this guy, bounce it along the rocks, bounce it along down a little ledge, and those cod come out and smash it. This guy, perfect for impoundments where they're a bit deeper. You got big rock walls, rock ledges, deep snags. This guy will really dig down and get into their faces. So definitely must have these little guys in your tackle box. They're essential items, very handy to have. Now, as well as the bib, we've got the rats. Now, you look at them and you laugh and you go, that's a rat. What did ever eat that? But these guys are absolutely dynamite on cod. Whether it be wild fish, impoundment fish, they don't care. They will absolutely scoff a rat or a mouse if they get the chance. And for that reason, I always have a couple of rats in my tackle box. I usually have the white one. This is called the lab rat color, and I also have a natural colored one. So always pays to have two contrasting colors. The natural, if they're being fussy, and the white if they really want something to stand out. But these guys are absolutely killer. I've got mine rigged with a Stinger rig. I found that to really improve my hookup rate. But you can run it off the standard belly treble if you feel or you don't want to make a Stinger rig. They all work, but rats, you can fish these two ways actually. You can fish these with a diver, so they go down about 1 meter, or you can fish as a wake bait, and wake bait's very effective as well, very much a surface presentation. So fish these two ways, but very important to have some of these in your kit as well, because these guys get absolutely munched. Okie dokie. Now, chatterbaits. Now, chatterbaits are a weird and wonderful contraption. They look something like this. So you've got a big soft plastic and a little skirt, similar to a spinnerbait, but you've got a big blade in the front there. Now that blade creates the vibration and actually shakes across like this, and the whole thing just kind of shutters around and chatters, I guess, where they get the name from. So you can get them in all manner of sizes. I had this one here. This is massive. This is for Copeton Dam where they get big ones, but you can use your smaller ones as well, and all the way down to little sizes like that. So definitely a great presentation to have on hand. They're great because you can chuck them and fish them at any depth. You can wind them a bit quicker, keep them up high in the water column, and they'll cruise around there, and their little blade will be flashing along. Mr. Cod will see it, come up and smack it. Or if you're fishing shallow and you come across a deeper pool, just let it sink down and just chatter it along the bottom there. And often the cod, if they're moping, they're not super in big feeding mode, they'll be sitting on the bottom just chilling. They'll see this little chatterbait, little vibrating tail go past their face, and busker, down the hatch it goes. So very versatile lure. Great for dirty water because of all the commotion it makes with this little blade up the front there. So another great little presentation to have on hand. And of course, if we're going to be talking about chatterbaits, we may as well do spinnerbaits while we're here as well. Now, spinnerbaits would probably have to be one of the most widely used cod presentations. Cod love them. There's a lot of flash in these blades here. Same thing, you can fish them up high or down low. I don't really know what they're meant to represent. I've got no idea. I've never seen a bait fish with blades and skirts and all that sort of stuff in fresh water, but hey, the results speak for themselves. Many a cod has been brought undone by spinnerbaits, and to this day they're probably my number one fallback lure. If I'm having a tough day in the office they're not eating top water, they're not eating my subsurface, then it's straight on with the spinnerbait, and quite often these guys will save your day. Again, you can get a multitude of different sizes. I've got a big one here that I'd use for big impoundment cod, all the way down to the more subtle ones which I use for the creek cod. Just gives me options there. But I've often found in the impoundments, the bigger you can go the better, because those guys, when they look to feed, they really want to have a decent meal. Now, there is another little technique that's been really doing the rounds when cod fishing, and it's very exciting. It's pretty new, it's only taken off in the last couple of years, and that's swim baiting for cod. Now that's using stuff like these guys here. Now these are jointed swim baits, and they are dynamite. So they've got a little jointed tail, and they're a slow sinking. You can also get floating ones as well, and they just mooch along, they zigzag in the water, real big S, wide action, slow action, and the cod absolutely love them. It's just like a big bait fish to them, and they just sit behind it. It's slow action, stays in their face, and they just chomp down and away she goes. These guys, cod will eat swim baits of all sizes. The big cod will eat massive swim baits. Stuff like this guy here, they won't even think twice about that. It'll just be down the hatch. So it does, yeah, depending on the size of the cod you're chasing again. If you're going for big cod, go hard or go home. Grab your big swim baits, they're gonna get chomped. But if you're a little creek fish, something like this is gonna be a great option. This guy here, this is probably my #1 producer. This is a Savage Gear Mullet Glide. It's accounted for, I don't know, probably 50 cod in the creek. So it's a great little lure. Great little lure, I should say. And that just got a really wide S action, and Buska, those fish can't resist. But I'm sure there is a few things that I've missed, guys, but these would be my starting lineup lures there. There's a fair few there. Often when I'm cod fishing, especially on foot, I don't want to take too many with me. I want to kind of keep it pretty lightweight because it's going to be all on my back. So I'll take a selection of a few of these, a couple of different colours, a couple of different styles, and I'll get out there and just keep casting. Cod are a great sport fish. They've got an awesome hit on them. They just about rip the rod out of your hand. They hit that hard. It's great. It's a great feeling when you're winding your lure in and boof, away you go, or you're chucking surface and that water just erupts under the lure. So guys, I hope that sets you on the right path. Get out there, chase a few cod if you haven't already, and I hope you get a few. Catch you later. Oh! Did you see that? He ate it. Yeah. Let's get him back.
That is absolutely awesome. That is exactly how you want to start a trip.
Well, couldn't ask for a much better end to the trip than that. Copeton Dam, she's been a tough fishery, but geez, we've made some memories here. Super cold, super fun. We're gonna get this guy back and go back and have a hot breakfast. I think we've earned it. Thank you, big girl. Oh, she's ready to go.